Well, Garrison, we had a little bit of, somewhat unexpected news. Since I know it's been a week since I last saw you. I had some family matters I had to attend to last week, so missed you on Thursday. But Ohio State went ahead and hired who I think could possibly be a Larry Johnson replacement. They went ahead and hired Tony Washington Jr. as the assistant defensive line coach. He was previously the assistant defensive line coach with UCLA as well as the outside linebackers coach. Previously coached at Oregon as well as a former player too. And now he will help Larry Johnson, assuming Larry Johnson comes back, up front along the defensive line. So what are your thoughts on this hire? What do you think of Tony Washington?
Well, I think it's a good hire. Of course, I think it was last week, and prior to that, we talked about if we believe Larry Johnson will be here when the season starts. Both you and I for different reasons said we don't know. Like we couldn't even really. I tried to get an answer out of you, and truthfully, I couldn't get one for myself also. And so to see that we have, I have it here. But it's been played for Oregon from 2011 to 2014. So I actually played against Ohio State that season, which is really cool. Had 14 and a half sacks in his time there over at Oregon. And then, spent last year at UCLA as the not offensive line, but the outside linebacker coach and the D line coach. And I think, he was a really good player. Had some time over Nebraska, had some time at Oregon. Why not bring him in? And honestly, it seems like Ohio State and Oregon are going to have a lot to do with each other over the next few years. And here going forward, it looks like.
Yeah, and you know what? This signals, you mentioned we weren't sure what Larry was going to do. I think this signals Larry's probably coming back. I think that's what this means. Otherwise, they wouldn't have named Washington the assistant defensive line coach. I think what this signals is they wanted to bring someone younger in who they think has the potential to lead the unit at some point, but they wanted someone that they could come in and learn from, one of the legends of coaching. And I mean, we've talked about the issues that we have with Larry currently, but he is a legend. I mean, the things he's done for the program, the players he's brought in and developed, there's no debating that. So I think, and I mean, quite honestly, now that who we both wanted to be his replacement is now at Texas, I think this is probably this is probably the best that they could do at this point. They can always reevaluate at the end of next season because this will be Larry Johnson's last year. And then they can go ahead and decide whether or not they think Washington's ready to actually make that leap to run the whole unit or if they want to go out and get someone else.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's really good also that we didn't get someone that hasn't been an actual defensive line coach. He has some time at that, or it's 1 year, but he had a season at that. So I think that bodes really well for Ohio State. I think it's another really good hire by Ryan Day. And like I said before, I trust Ryan Day when it comes to hires because as short as 6 years as a head coach, he's made correct hires more times than not.
So how much do you think Patricia had to do with this hire? I'm curious about your thoughts on that.
I don't think he had much to do with it because from the time he came in and Clark left, there wasn't that much time between there. So I'm sure there was other things between there, like he's still having to go through. I mean, hell, the guy still has to go through HR. So I think that he probably didn't have a lot to do with that. I think that was someone that, if you're Ryan Day, and I believe him to be a smart coach, he knows that La'Alon Clark was a hot commodity in college football. So people are calling his number and probably emailing him or however else they gotta contact him. And so you have to have a plan B, or I guess really I mean this would be a plan A.
This is more like plan.
It's plan A because this is the first choice you made. So no, I think it's worked out very well.
Yeah. Question from Tyler. From everything that's been reported, it was either this year or next year is going to be Larry. I mean, either this past season, the 2024 season, or 2025 is going to be Larry's last year. It was basically reported that Ryan Day pretty much has given him, I don't want to say an ultimatum, but basically a choice where it's you can either coach one more year or we can go ahead and just have you move on now. And I think it's more of to the point, and we both have talked about this on the show, that it's getting to the point where the negative recruiting is just kind of taking its toll. And Larry's, he's what, 74 now? I mean,
he's getting up there, man.
He's not getting any younger, and I think it's best for all parties involved if he moves on here sooner rather than later. Quite honestly,
he's older than Jim Tressel. I mean,
yeah, and So I think that's probably why this is truly his last year. Now this I don't necessarily co-sign. It's not the Buckeye Beat's fault. That's what the Buckeye Beat is hearing other teams come up with. Like, they're hearing that from the Ohio State side because there are multiple other programs that are negatively recruiting up front because it's an easy pain point for them to do. Now, that has been eased a little bit with NIL. Like, if you just throw enough like NIL money now to recruit, they can do, most recruits will come in. But this is one of the very few coaches that other programs can go at and be like, hey, look, who knows how longer he's going to be there? He's getting up there in age. Retirement's coming off soon. So I don't necessarily think it's the Buckeye Beat's fault.
Well, I like Larry. I love Larry. I think he's been one of the best assistant football coaches in Ohio State history. He's been a legend everywhere he goes. I think his best years are behind him. It's not that I don't think he can be a coach somewhere. I just think at this level, at his age, I think it's a little bit different now. Sometimes it's good to get new blood in there.
Yeah. And I want to be clear.
And there's nothing wrong with him going. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I think if he would have retired this season after this championship, that was the right way to go. You stuck it out with JTT, Jack Sawyer, with your boys, and I mean, who were your last two really highly recruited or highly rated,
highly touted recruits?
Yeah. Since Chase. So and
both of us, I think I speak for both of us when I say I don't want to take any credit away from what he's done. Like, he has been fantastic. Mm-hmm. Like I said, he is a coaching legend. Like, he's done really good things for Ohio State, but all good things must come to an end. So I think that's just kind of what needs to happen now.
They gave me a black card and carte blanche authority. All I know is who are we? That's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, any other thoughts here on Washington before we move on?
Nope, just hey, welcome to Buckeye Nation, and I hope that he's here for the future, aka next season, possibly this season, or whenever his time comes, because I guarantee you, he won't be here for long.